Hello, everyone. I'm ZHAO Chuang. Let's draw the skull of Tyrannotitan. Its skull fossils are pretty fragmentary, including 2 broken bones in the back half of its face and a partial anterior mandible. When drawing, we should speculate the approximate appearance of its head based on other dinosaurs, such as Meraxis, which preserved a quite complete skull. We can position the 2 rear bones into the skull according to other dinosaurs. These 2 bones are disconnected and constitute its lateral temporal fenestra. Some previous restorations would place these 2 bones far apart, making the temporal fenestra appear larger, but now we know that they are actually much closer. Following this clue and the size of the 2 bones, we can restore its entire skull. Now, let's get started. Begin with the bones we know and draw its jugal bone first. The fossil probably preserved the upward raised part of the jugal bone, which constituted the part of its orbit. Behind the jugal bone is its quadrato-jugal bone, shaped like a boot or a sickle, and connected to the back of the jugal bone. These 2 bones were well preserved, so we know that the lateral temporal fenestra of this type of dinosaur was relatively narrow. Next, let's restore the post-orbital bone above the jugal bone, which is a typical bone in theropods. Some large bulges with a rough surface would grow on the post-orbital bone, especially in the upper back atop the eyes. When alive, there might be eyebrow-shaped keratin structures, like short horns. This structure might play a similar role to eyebrows, which can protect against rain or sunlight. The bone that makes the back of the head is the squamosal bone. The outermost visible one is the squamosal bone. Then, let's draw the front of the orbit. The upper front bone of the orbit is the lacrimal bone. Which is roughly shaped like this, a bit like the Arabic number 7. The lacrimal bone generally forms a lacrimal crest. However, the lacrimal crests of Carcharodontosaurids were not as developed as those of their early relatives, the Allosaurids. Here, several front bones form the antorbital fenestra. When the animal was alive, the bottom of the antorbital fenestra was attached to the muscles leading to the mouth, and soft structures of the nose, such as the sinuses, would situate inside this cavity. This whole piece is the maxilla, where the teeth grow. The upper part of the maxilla is connected to the nasal bone, which is covered with numerous rough structures like folds and stripes. When this animal was alive, there might be a low crest made of keratin here. The front is the premaxilla, which forms the nostrils with the bones behind. Then, let's draw its teeth. Generally, the premaxilla has 4 teeth, and the other dozen teeth grow on the maxilla. In this way, we have sorted out several essential bones of its skull. Next, we move to its lower jaw. The part we know is the dentary at the front. The dentary is the bone where the lower teeth are located. Then, let's also draw these teeth. All the teeth of dinosaurs grew only on these 3 bones, the premaxilla and maxilla of the upper jaw, and the dentary of the lower jaw. The further rear bone would have no teeth. When drawing, we should be careful not to draw too many teeth for a dinosaur. There are 2 other bones on its mandible below the eyes, so we draw this seam first. The mandible comprises 3 bones, the dentary in the front, followed by 2 bones, the surangular on the top and the angular at the bottom. Some dinosaurs might have a large hole spliced by these 3 bones in the middle, and they would use this hole to accommodate muscles. Then, let's slightly depict the skin. Draw the skin along the surface of the bones. Don't make it too thick or too thin, but the thickness that a dinosaur's skin should have. At the mouth, let's draw some shadings of the muscles. Draw the keratin structure atop its nasal bones, especially the sharp ones, such as the lacrimal crest. This part might have had a larger and sharper shape when the dinosaur was alive. The same goes for the ones above the eyes and the brow bone. Then, we can color all the holes in the skull black, including the orbit and the antorbital fenestra. There are some other bones in the antorbital fenestra, but we won't draw them and consider nothing inside this time. Other structures, such as the palatine and vomer, also exist inside the maxilla. Let's also blacken the hole in the mandible. Then, we move to the lateral temporal fenestra. It is called the lateral temporal fenestra because there are 2 other fenestrae, the supratemporal fenestra on the top of its head, but we can't see them from this angle. Draw its throat below the neck. The top of its head also slightly bulged upward. Then, trace along the outside of these bones. Later, we will color the rear part dark. If you want to restore this dinosaur with lips, you can draw the lips between the tooth slits. Otherwise, draw the gums. In any case, fill the soft tissue between these gaps. Then, color the rear part black, but don't color it too solid. We can also show the nutrient foramina at the root of the teeth. I just mentioned that the surface of the maxilla was relatively rough. So, let's draw the pits on it. Then, we can use some shadings to make the bones a bit three-dimensional. Especially the post-orbital bone, which has a complex shape and should have a stronger three-dimensionality. We can slightly show the convexity on its surface. The nasal bone is also very rough. Finally, let's draw some decorative stripes on the lacrimal crest. Good. Like this, we've finished drawing the skull of Tyrannotitan.